These are the top 10 On sneakers of 2024 that you can grab right now. Over the last couple months, I've been totally immersing myself in the On world. It's a brand that I wasn't too familiar with a year ago, but the more that I've been wearing the shoes and trying them out, the more I've been really falling in love with them. In fact, for shoes like this, the On Cloudtilt, I paid $200, which is like $50 over retail because it was sold out. So in today's video, I'm counting down my top 10 favorite pairs of On sneakers that you can grab right now. And of course, if you want to grab any of these sneakers, I've made sure to link them all through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. I do actually want to give On a huge thank you because they did provide some of the sneakers for this video. I didn't have all 10, and I reached out to them and I said, hey, I'm doing a top 10 On video. Would you guys provide some sneakers? And they did. That said, this is not in any way a sponsored video. This is all completely my own personal opinion. They didn't tell me to say anything about any of these shoes. I just said, hey, I would like these shoes. Can you send them to me? And they did. So huge thank you to On for being so cool about it. But hey, with that being said, let's dive straight into the list. Number 10, the On Cloud 5. This shoe is one of On's most popular models that they've ever made. The On Cloud 5 is an everyday casual sneaker with a very unique aesthetic because of that cloud tech in the midsole. Speaking of cloud tech, if you're not familiar, cloud tech is essentially the punch outs through the midsole of the shoe, which I believe is proprietary to On. These punch outs or channels that basically go all the way through the bottom of the shoe allow for really nice crumple zones underneath your foot and give you a really nice almost cloud-like feel, which is why most of their shoes have cloud in the name. When it comes to the actual foam used in the midsole of the On Cloud 5, it's zero gravity foam, which is relatively soft underfoot, but it's nothing compared to some of the foams that we'll talk about later on in the list, specifically number 1. Number 1 is just stupid comfortable. In addition to the cloud tech in the midsole, you've also got a speed board to prevent some torsional twisting and give you a bit more stability when you're wearing this shoe. Then moving up on the shoe, you've got antimicrobial mesh and taped reinforcements, and the upper itself is also pretty well padded, especially around the heel. The On Cloud 5 doesn't feature standard laces. Instead, you've got sort of a bungee cord system, which allows this shoe to be kind of like a slip-on. And overall, it's a pretty basic, but still pretty comfortable shoe. It retails for $140 and fits true to size. Stylistically, I don't love the way this sneaker looks. That's why it's lower on the list. It does look better on foot, but I definitely prefer the aesthetics of some of the other shoes on the list a lot more. Number 9, the On Cloudboom Strike. Over the last few years, the category of ultra high-end, super high-tech marathon running sneakers has been exploding into the consumer market. Almost $300 sneakers that are designed specifically for race day and really only for race day. And the Cloudboom Strike is one of those sneakers. It comes in at a retail price of $280, which yes, sounds like a lot, but when you compare it to the other offerings from Nike and Adidas, it's right in line. In fact, I think Nike's is like $285, so it's a little bit cheaper. That said, for the $280 price point, you were getting like the top of the line tech that On makes. The shoe features a super thin and ultra lightweight mesh upper, which you can actually see almost all the way through. It's very breathable, it molds to your foot, and did I mention it's ridiculously lightweight? There is a tiny bit of padding around the heel area of the shoe, which is pretty standard for these types of shoes, and then you do have a pretty thick insole as well. However, where the shoe really shines is the midsole. Underneath the insole that I just showed you, which apparently On calls the cushioned bounce board, interesting name to call an insole, you've got a carbon fiber speed board. Nowadays, most ultra high-end marathon running sneakers do feature some kind of plate in the shoe to help bounce you into the next step, and in this case, I mean, it really does literally spring you into the next step. You kind of put some pressure down on it and you bounce forward. It's crazy. Underneath that plate, you've got what On calls Helion HF Hyperfoam, which is their softest and probably most expensive foam. This foam is ridiculously soft and ridiculously bouncy. It is similar to the offerings from Nike and Adidas, and unfortunately, like those shoes, it is only rated for a couple hundred miles versus, you know, other more standard foams because of how soft it is, but man, does it feel good under feet. Obviously, because this is an On sneaker, it does feature cloud tech in the heel, which you can't actually see through like other On cloud tech, but it does provide a little bit more cushion, a little bit more crumple zone. And seriously, this shoe is just ridiculously lightweight. On says that it's 219 kilograms. Plus, visually, I really like the way that this sneaker looks. The fade from like the white to the blue to the red is fire. Just the shape of the shoe is very clean. They did a great job. It looks awesome. In case you forgot, yes, this shoe is $280, but it does fit true to size. And again, the reason it's so expensive is because it features just the top of the line tech. Realistically, this is a shoe that most people aren't gonna buy. This is a shoe designed specifically for runners who are running races, and that's about it. That said, it is crazy soft underfoot. Number 8, the On RogerPro 2. So this shoe is specifically made for hardcourt tennis. Yes, I guess you could wear it for just general lifestyle wear, but mainly it's for tennis. But I gotta say, it's a pretty decent looking pair of tennis shoes. Now, it does look very different than really any of the other On sneakers that we're gonna talk about in today's list because it doesn't feature cloud tech. That said, it's still got a lot of On branding, and I really like it a lot, actually. So the RogerPro 2 features an ultra lightweight and abrasion resistant upper, which is actually also pretty breathable, and I love the fact that it's semi-translucent too. You can actually see through it to your socks. And hey, if you're wearing dope socks like Apothecary Socks, that's a good thing. There's a bunch of padding around the heel of the shoe, which is great. You've also got some nice padding on the tongue, and the midsole of the sneaker also comes with some high performance foam for impact protection. Now let's be real, underfoot, it's not gonna be as soft as really any of the other sneakers on this list, but it's a great purpose-built tennis shoe. One of the main features on this shoe is the wide herringbone traction pattern, which allows for a lot of multi-directional grip. Herringbone is actually one of the better traction patterns that you can have because of its multi-directional nature. And for stability, you've got a 100% carbon fiber speed plate, which you can see here on the bottom of the shoe, which really helps make this shoe feel a lot more stable. Now, I don't play a lot of tennis. I haven't played tennis in a minute. I did used to play tennis, but this is a shoe that as soon as I can get back to the tennis courts, I'm gonna rock, because this shoe is actually fire, especially in this pink colorway. I kind of dig this. When it comes to fit, the RogerPro 2 fits true to size, and it comes in at a retail price of $200, which yes, is pricey, but you are getting a pretty high-end tennis shoe. Number 7, the On Cloudpulse. The Cloudpulse was made to be a gym and training sneaker specifically designed for stability and flexibility. And I will say it is pretty stable and pretty flexible, so they pretty much accomplished exactly what they were trying to do. The Cloudpulse features a reinforced mesh upper, which is pretty comfortable on foot and relatively breathable. It's also very nicely padded around the back half of the sneaker. And one thing I really appreciate about it is that it really does a good job of keeping your foot locked in place. Like, it's a great shoe for lateral movements. Something else that really helps the lateral stability is the speed board, which you can see through this groove in the bottom of the sneaker, and is kind of set between your foot and the midsole of the sneaker. It also provides a little bit more stability, especially on those lateral movements. It seems like it's meant to prevent torsional twisting, which is a good thing. The midsole of the sneaker is made up of Helion super foam and features your Cloud Tech, so it is pretty comfortable underfoot. Definitely not as pillowy as some other shoes that we'll talk about later on in the list, but it does do a nice job of giving you some impact protection and providing some energy return. The Cloudpulse comes in at a retail price of $150 and fits true to size. So hey, if you're out there looking for a new gym sneaker, this is not a bad way to go. Obviously, comfort is really important when picking a new pair of shoes. Whether it's running sneakers, walking sneakers, training sneakers, it does not matter. Comfort is important. And one way to increase the comfort of your sneakers is to add a very comfortable pair of socks, like a pair of Apothecary socks. I co-founded Apothecary back in 2020 to create your sneakers' favorite socks, and I think we've done a pretty good job. Apothecary socks are not only breathable and look great, but they're also incredibly comfortable on foot. And this Friday, October 4th, we're launching a brand new collection of socks in partnership with Keep Abreast Foundation for Breast Cancer Awareness Month. For every sock that we sell from this partnership, $5 will go to the Keep Abreast Foundation. So not only are you getting a good-looking, very comfortable pair of socks, you're also supporting a good cause. I lost my mom to breast cancer in 2016, so this is a cause that is near and dear to my heart. So if you guys want to grab any socks from this collection, they drop October 4th. Number 6, the On CloudNova 2. This shoe is one of On's everyday, all-day walking sneakers, and while it's not my favorite one that they make, it is a solid choice and it feels great underfoot. The shoe features a textile upper, which is pretty comfortable and pretty well padded all the way around the upper of the shoe, especially around the heel of the shoe. You've got this nice heel pillow, which I like a lot. On the back half of the shoe, pretty much directly right underneath your foot, you've got a speed board, which is like a thick plastic board for added stability. You can actually see it through this groove on the bottom of the sneaker. It also apparently connects to this heel clip right here. It's made of the same TPU material for that added sort of heel support and lockdown. The midsole is made up of 50% bio-attributed zero gravity foam, which is pretty soft underfoot. And then of course you've got your Cloud Tech, which you can see all the way through. Compared to some of the other shoes on this list and some of the other shoes that On makes, it's a bit on the firmer side, especially when you compare it to like Helion super foam or something like that, but it's still a very comfortable on-foot experience. It's very stable, which I appreciate, and it fits true to size. CloudNova 2 comes in at a retail price of $160, and if there's one thing that I'd change about it, it might be the overall aesthetics. I don't love the way it looks. It's a little bit basic for me, but not a bad looking sneaker, just not exactly my style. Number 5, the On CloudHorizon. The CloudHorizon is a really well cushioned hiking shoe. The shoe comes with a very supportive and well structured upper. It's durable, it's going to protect you against sticks and twigs and rocks and whatever you have kind of bumping into or rubbing against the side of your foot. It's also pretty nicely padded around the entire upper of the shoe. Obviously most of the padding will be towards the heel of the shoe, but you've also got some nice padding in the toe area. Now that padding does come at the expense of some breathability. That said, from hiking shoes, I don't know if breathability is always the main focus, and it's still a relatively breathable shoe. It's just not as breathable as some of their running sneakers. But in my opinion, the best part about the CloudHorizon is the midsole and the outsole. But let's start things off on the bottom of the shoe first. You've got this Mission Grip rubber outsole, which has these nice thick lugs, which really dig into the ground well. Mission Grip is also great for grip, as you probably could have guessed from the name of Mission Grip itself. It's a very grippy rubber compound. Traction is obviously one of the main focuses of this shoe, and it does a good job of keeping you in place. Then you get up to the Cloud Tech Phase midsole with Helion super foam. It's incredibly soft underfoot. To me, this midsole feels similar to the CloudSurfer, which we'll talk about in a little bit. It's not as soft as that shoe, I don't think. At least I didn't notice it to be, but it's still very soft underfoot, probably the softest hiking shoe that I've ever worn. Now, unlike a lot of On's other sneakers, this shoe is definitely more of a walking shoe than a running shoe. There are some trail running shoes on this list, which we'll get to, but if you're looking for a solid, comfortable hiking sneaker, this is a great way to go. And when it comes to sizing, I would say that this shoe does fit pretty much true to size. As for the price, it is a bit more expensive, coming in at $170, especially when compared to some other hiking shoes on the market, but it does feel amazing underfoot. It is a high quality hiking shoe, so I still recommend it even at that price. On does also have a waterproof version of the shoe, which comes in at $190, so it is $20 more expensive, and it won't be as breathable, but if you do plan to be hiking in very wet conditions or rainy conditions, then that might be a good way to go. Number 4, the On CloudSurfer and CloudSurfer Trail. So the shoe that I'm holding is specifically the On CloudSurfer Trail. It is a trail running sneaker based off of the classic On CloudSurfer. The CloudSurfer is sort of On's everyday, do everything running sneaker, and the CloudSurfer Trail is essentially that with the trail outsole and some other minor modifications. Regardless, both shoes are great, and both shoes are the same price, $160. Actually, to be fair, they both also fit the same, they're both true to size. The CloudSurfer Trail is essentially a trail running version of the shoe. It's got bigger lugs that help grip a little bit better when you're running through muddy or wetter conditions. There is a slight difference in the shape of the back of the shoe. It's nothing major, but to me, when I wore them both, they both felt pretty much the same. The CloudSurfer comes with an engineered mesh upper that does have a backing, so it's not as breathable as some of the other shoes on the list. However, it is still pretty breathable on foot. The heel area has some nice padding. You've also got some nice structure there, so there's not going to be any heel slippage. And fit-wise, like I said before, the upper of the shoe is pretty standard. It's not going to blow you away. It's not the most breathable or lightest upper in the world or even softest upper in the world, but it does everything that you need it to do really well. The bottom half, though, is where this sneaker really shines. You've got your CloudTech Phase midsole with Helium Superfoam. It's soft and comfortable underfoot. It's responsive. It's not going to be too cushy for you to where you feel like you're kind of sinking into the shoe, but at the same time, you get a lot of impact protection and some nice bounce. For me personally, if I was looking for an everyday workhorse running sneaker, the CloudSurfer is the way that I would go. It's simple, it's clean, it gets the job done, and you feel good doing it. If I was to compare this to a pair of Nike running sneakers, I'd probably compare this to like the Nike Pegasus 41. It's a similar category of sneaker. Plus, the CloudSurfer also comes in a trail version, so if you're looking for a trail running shoe, definitely recommend it. And of course, you can grab this shoe right now through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. It's light, it's soft, it doesn't have a plate, which probably makes this shoe a little bit cheaper, and also if you don't like plates, you're probably going to prefer this shoe. I love the CloudSurfer. It's a great everyday running shoe. Number 3, the On Cloudeclipse. This is On's softest, most max cushion sneaker that they make. This shoe is ridiculously soft under feet. It's also one of their newer models that was introduced over the last year or so, and it looks pretty decent. The upper of the shoe is made up of an engineered mesh, which is very breathable and pretty soft. You've got some decent padding around the heel area of the shoe, but where the shoe really shines is the midsole. I mean, at first glance, you can see how ridiculously thick this midsole is. This is a thick boy, and it feels thick under feet. So you've got a CloudTech Phase midsole with Helium Superfoam that compresses so well under feet. The foam is super soft, and of course, these channels in the midsole crumple really nicely, which give you even more cushion. This shoe also features a nylon speed board for torsional twisting and stability. However, unlike the next shoe that we're going to talk about, which is also a max cushion sneaker, the speed board is on the bottom of the shoe and not in between the upper and the midsole. So while it doesn't offer the same sort of bounciness or energy return that it would if it was higher up in the midsole of the shoe, it does offer some nice twist resistance and stability, which I appreciate. But for me, the biggest benefit of the plate being on the bottom of the shoe rather than in the middle of the shoe is that your foot is just right on top of that crazy soft foam, so you feel the cushion even more than you would in other sneakers that have a plate in between your foot and the foam. So not only does this shoe just feature the most foam that I've seen in any On sneaker, it also allows your foot to be right on top of that foam, so you really get the most softness underfoot. It feels incredible. That is, if you like super soft max cushion sneakers. If you don't, then maybe this isn't the shoe for you, but I do. When it comes to fit, it's true to size, and it's priced at $180. Number 2, the On Cloudmonster 2. This is another max cushion option from On. However, unlike the Cloudeclipse, this shoe is designed to be a bit faster. The Cloudmonster 2 not only offers you max cushion, but also, On says, max energy return. And for the past couple weeks wearing this shoe casually and for runs, I've got to say, I'm pretty impressed by it, and this is probably my favorite max cushion shoe that they make. Yes, the Cloudeclipse is softer underfoot, but when it comes to everyday runs, I definitely prefer this shoe because it feels like it's bouncing you into the next step. The upper of this shoe is engineered mesh and made up of recycled polyester. It's pretty lightweight and pretty breathable. You've got some really nice and thick padding around the back of your foot, which helps with heel slippage and also just cushioning. Inside this shoe, somewhere between the upper of the shoe and the midsole of the shoe, you've got a nylon blend speed board. What this speed board does is help snap you into the next step. It gives you a bit more stability and support and makes this a much bouncier ride. But my favorite part of the On Cloudmonster 2, which is probably everyone's favorite part because it's a max cushion sneaker, is of course the cushioning. This shoe features what On calls Monster Cloud Tech. You've got dual density Helion Superfoam, which is incredibly soft underfoot, and then you've also got the biggest Cloud Tech that they've ever put in a shoe. And I mean, to be fair, it is big. You can see through it all the way away pretty easily. And man, does it feel soft underfoot. It compresses so well, and it really does bounce you into the next step. I really love running in this shoe because it's great for recovery runs, it's very soft underfoot, but it's also great for longer, softer, slower runs. And the speed plate really does help with the forward momentum. Seriously, an awesome shoe. Now when it comes to sizing, On actually recommends going a half size down. I grabbed this shoe in my true size and it was fine. I didn't have any issues, but I do understand how some people would want to go a half size down. I think if you're a wider footer, it might not hurt to go true to size, but sometimes it is just better to do what On actually recommends themselves. And they say go down half a size, so I'll say the same thing, although I'm fine in the true to size pair, personally. Pricing wise, this shoe comes in at a bit of a higher end price point of $180, which isn't terrible. It's comparable to prices from other brands like Nike and Adidas, but it is a higher end running sneaker, so you can expect to pay a higher end price. The one thing I don't love about this shoe is just the overall aesthetics. I think it's one of the less pretty On running sneakers, I'll say that, but I mainly only wear the shoe for runs, so it doesn't bother me that much, and I think for most people it's probably fine. I'm just kind of a snob when it comes to sneaker aesthetics. Number 1, the On Cloudtilt. This shoe has become my everyday go-to sneaker. It's very lightweight, it feels amazing on feet, and the cushion is ridiculous. So the Cloudtilt, unlike a lot of the other shoes on this list, is not designed for running. It's actually specifically designed for casual wear. That said, you can still run in this shoe if you want. I think there's better options for running on this list, but it's not like you can't run in this shoe. But seriously, this shoe is an incredible everyday sneaker. First of all, visually, it's really clean. This colorway is probably the most popular colorway, the white fading to black colorway, which is also the color that we've seen Zendaya wear in some of On's promo materials. And even though it's not technically Zendaya's signature sneaker, it is kind of the shoe tied to Zendaya. But visually, I'd say that this shoe is pretty striking. The upper is clean and simple, but it does have a nice pop to it. The midsole obviously comes with a CloudTech phase that features a cutouts, which gives it this very unique look like all of On's other sneakers. And not only does it look good, it's also incredibly comfortable. The upper of the shoe is made up of recycled polyester and is very lightweight and pretty breathable. You've got some decent padding around the heel area, the tongue is relatively well padded, and one of my favorite features on this shoe, which is not unique to this particular silhouette, is the lacing system. It's not your standard lacing system, even though it looks like it could be. It's much more of a slip-on construction because the laces are tied off at the end, so you can't actually tie them. They're bungee laces, so they give you a lot of stretch. You also have a separate tongue, which allows for some more fit customizability, but what this really does is make this much more of a slip-on than anything else. So you get the slip-on feel and the slip-on comfort without the style of a slip-on, because a lot of people just don't like the way that slip-ons look. You could pretty much put this shoe on with no hands. Just slide your feet in, keep it by the door, go to the store, whatever you need to do, then pull it off. It's a very versatile sneaker. Like I've already mentioned, it features the CloudTech phase cushioning in the midsole, which makes it very soft underfoot. It's not as soft as something like the Cloudeclipse, which is like a max cushion sneaker, but it's great for everyday wear, and especially just walking around. When it comes to sizing, the On Cloudtilt fits true to size, and pricing wise, this shoe comes in at $160. For me, this is my favorite overall On sneaker. It's an excellent all-day casual sneaker. It's very soft underfoot, it's very lightweight, it looks good, and even though, yes, I love On's running sneakers and I wear those a lot, I tend to wear casual shoes more than running sneakers, and this is one of those shoes that just fits so well into my daily life. It looks good, and it's super easy to rock. But of course, if you want to grab this pair or any of the other pairs that I talked about in today's video, make sure to check them all out through the YouTube shopping tab on your screen. Let me know in the comments which one of these shoes you like the best. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.